Hey gamers, do you like FPS games? How about roguelites? Roboquest is a fast-paced FPS roguelite bullet hell looter shooter. What exactly that means? I don't know. You play as a 500-year-old robot who, after getting kidnapped by a small child, decides, it's time to overthrow the government. On your mission to take down your robo-dictator, you can play as one of 6 classes. Each class having their own unique builds, perks, and synergies, allowing you to have the freedom to carve through your enemies however you want, whether it be revolvers, elemental super lasers, or simply beating them to death. Of the different classes, the one you'll start with is Guardian. Guardian is the perfect balance between offense and defense, which is great for newer FPS players and people getting the hang of Roboquest. His main ability is Bastion, a bubble shield which blocks damage for 3 seconds or 200 health. Leveling up can earn perks that buff Bastion and increase damage, fire rate, move speed, and give Guardian infinite ammo. Alternatively, if that's not your cup of tea, you can also turn into a walking ball of fire with perks like Meteor Bubble and Meteor Nade. Guardian's secondary ability, Bash, is a punch that can stun enemies and drop healing orbs if used to defeat them, with his passive increasing that stun chance and increasing his ammo capacity. Bash can also be turned into an arc wave or a sledgehammer. Commando is the hyper-offensive Doomslayer rushdown character of Roboquest. With his homing rockets and high damage point-blank shotgun, there's never a dull moment as you fly from enemy to enemy. His shotgun Shorty can be upgraded to explosive rounds or converted into a high-skill long-range railgun that cooldown resets if it critically strikes. Shorty can also be upgraded to mark enemies and deal more damage up close, with scanning burst and point blank respectively. His passive gives him offensive stats with each takedown, and his rockets can be upgraded for damage or utility. Ranger is all about stealth and big numbers. By utilizing decoys and piercing javelins, he can be built into a monster, doing absurd critical damage and bouncing bullets, allowing him to scale the hardest and one-shot most enemies later into the game. Perks like Sonar Spike and Hunter's Mark tag enemies, causing them to take 50% extra damage. This, in combination with favorite weapon and simple geometry, make him do an absurd amount of damage. His passive further boosts his critical damage and synergizes well with sniper rifles. Recon is the melee-focused class reminiscent of Zero from Borderlands, dashing from target to target, cutting them down in a single strike. After dashing with a blink, an explosion is triggered, applying a stun to enemies and generating 2 combo stacks. These stacks are part of Recon's passive, Overslash, making his melee attack, Dagger, do 200% more damage once at full stacks. The perk that lets Recon cut down bots with ease are Close Combat, Cutlass, and Relentless Pursuit. All 3 of these perks allow him to deal increased damage, melee faster, and shorten Blink's cooldown, as well as turning his dagger into a sword. Engineer is the summoner class of Roboquest, with friendly bots that can deal damage and draw aggro. He can buff his bots, making them tankier with skills like Drone Zerker, which increases the drone's damage and HP, or give them weapons like rockets, lasers, and a sonar scanner that marks enemies. His passive, Tinkerer, heals his drones when he tries to deploy a new one at max capacity, and Blaster, his secondary, is an explosive energy cannon. Elementalist is the most unique class in Roboquest, with his main ability, Trinity, cycling through 3 different abilities, being red, blue, and purple. He also has Comet, an elemental blast that rotates between elements, and Mantra, his passive, that buffs whatever element Trinity is currently using. Leveling Elementalist unlocks class perks like infused weapons that turn your weapon's damage to Trinity's element, and perks that buff Trinity like Attunement, Inner Fire, and Elemental Mastery. With Elementalist handling fire, lightning, and ice, he is more than well equipped for any situation and scenario. While playing Roboquest, you'll certainly run into a few puzzles. Some of these puzzles involve finding lost items or having certain weapons, and interacting with their respective bot. A few of these bots will give you a reward every game after you complete their quest, like this guy who gives you a legendary perk every run after you gave him his quest item. You may also run into hidden collectibles like data logs, giving small snippets of the story from the perspective of other characters and bots. With a good variety of puzzles and hidden items, exploration is heavily encouraged and rewarded. Some of these rewards are gadgets. Gadgets are modifiers/tools that can range from more damage to movement options like a grappling hook. Like puzzles, gadgets vary wildly and can be toggled at any time from base camp to better suit your playstyle. Some of my personal favorites are the sunglasses, the jetpack, and the grappling hook. The Workbench allows you to upgrade yourself, weapons, and unlock vendors and enhance those vendors. These upgrades give both health and upgrades for your arsenal, while vendors sell things like perks to increase your chances of survival. These vendors will be a part of every run and can occasionally save a run by selling a really good perk or weapon. They can also upgrade existing weapons, or you can reroll the affixes on your gun if they aren't up to snuff. While most perks are good, some come with downsides, so it's up to you if it's really worth it or not. These corrupted perks are usually found in corrupted chests or sold by Heisenbot. Some upgrades can't be bought, but are gained by finding the crystals and completing their stages. Roboquest has a very unique dual difficulty system, with Discovery through Guardian 4 being a more standard type of difficulty slider, giving more wrenches per stage beaten, depending on the difficulty, but there is also the Power Crystal difficulty system. The crystal system is more of a give and take spin on difficulty that makes the final stage and boss easier, but makes the journey there harder, with more elite enemies as more crystals are enabled. These crystals can be found on special crystal stages that are usually some sort of speedrunning level with a twist. Each stage has its own unique enemies and bosses that evolve over the course of the game. Starting as basic bots that fire every few seconds, to laser bots that have jetpacks and ghost bots that go invisible. Unfortunately, the feeling of enemies evolving is diminished in the harder difficulties because the game just kind of throws them at you from the start. Because each stage has its own pool of bosses and enemies, no run feels the same as the last. Enemies also occasionally drop weapons and pictures, unlocking their entry in the museum found in base camp. While multiplayer is pretty standard with another person joining for a co-op experience, something I find unique is the revival system. Instead of just holding a button for 10 seconds, you have to give half your health to recharge a friend, making it more of a resource and making it more risky, because best case scenario, you're now both half health. Roboquest is honestly a pretty refreshing take on FPS and roguelite games. Breaking away from the treadmill of modern FPS games and relieving some of the grind that some roguelites have, it makes for a pretty fun and relaxing experience. If this interests you at all, I put the Steam page in the description where you can check it out for yourself. If you like this review and would like to see more, please like and sub as it helps a lot, or don't, it's up to you. Have a great one, and thanks for watching.